welcome to AMC Mailbag, the show dedicated to mailbag and answering your questions. You can send them in anytime, anywhere at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. And it could be shown either on AMC Movie Talk from Monday through to Friday or right here on Mailbag. Hello, my name is Maud Garrett and I'm filling in again for the wonderful Ashley Mover. And here to answer all of your questions, it is AMC Editor-in-Chief, Mr. John Campion.
Hey, and greetings, everybody. Thanks for tuning to Mailbag. And yes, thank you again so much to Maud Garrett, filling at the last minute again for Ashley, who has jury duty this week. So she's out. And so gracious of you. You did such a good job last weekend, too. You were wonderful.
Thank you so much. This is actually destroying the illusion that I have a life, though, being this available. All right, let's get straight into it. The first question is from Sebastian Bustillos, who says, hey, guys, love the show. My question is about the Blue Mountain State movie. Is it in production or have you guys heard anything about it? Thanks and keep up the good work.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the movie is done shooting, but it's not a real movie. And by that, what I mean is, if it's not going to be playing in theaters, it's not a real movie. I know there's a very short-sighted way of looking at it. I know. But it is not going to be playing in a theater near you. I believe it's called Blue Mountain State Adventures in Thadland or something.
The comeback of Thadland?
Something along those lines, something ridiculous. So it was produced, it was shot. If I understood it right, their initial aspirations were for it to be a theatrical release movie, but just no distributor had any interest in this. Now, why, if you're somebody who did not watch Blue Mountain State, as that is the vast majority of us who never watched State, why on earth would you even be interested in such a movie? Well, the lead guy in it, the guy who plays Thad, was, if I'm not mistaken, Raphael in the new most recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And he's been a guest spot on a number of what's that show? It's Jess. What's the name of the show, though? New Girl. He was in an episode. New Girl's in actually a number of television episodes and stuff like that.
The Hunger Games as well.
Was he in the Hunger Games? Was one of the tributes?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, right over my head. So, like the most of us, you were not interested in this thing anyway. And even if you are, unfortunately, you're not going to be seeing it playing in a theater unless some distributor comes out of left field to pick it up. This is probably going to be a home video release.
Well, this was another Kickstarter campaign where the show finished in 2012 and then fans were like, no, we want to see this into a movie. So $2 million was raised. They never thought they would get that figure. And because they did, everyone came back to do the movie. Do you think this is going to be a trend, though? Like Firefly, which was taken away from us only after one season. Do you think that maybe television shows that had a good run but finished too soon, a Kickstarter campaign can make sure that it hits maybe a big screen or have a movie release?
Well, if there's anything that I am really, really passionate about, it is, and there are certain needs that we have in this world. One of the things that a real desperate need that I think a lot of people don't ignore is that entertainment millionaires need your money. They need you to donate and fund their projects. These poor millionaires who, remember folks, these aren't billionaires. Only a few of them are billionaires. For them to achieve their dreams and their professional goals, they need your help. They need you to reach deep into your pockets and for you to fund their projects.
But John, I'm on minimum wage. How can I afford something like this?
Well, stop thinking about yourself for a minute. The world's not all about you, Maud. All right? There are needs out there. Yeah. There's a kid out there somewhere who needs a meal. Guess what? He's going to need a meal again tomorrow anyway. So really, what difference are you making? Give it to the TV millionaires so they can make another desperate movie that not enough people wanted in the first place to keep it on air.
So there's no television series that have finished that you'd like to see back?
End sarcastic rant. Okay.
All right, maybe I will let that question finish right here. Eric Lucas writes, hey, AMC Crew, I watch the show 24/7 and I can't get enough of the filthy. My question is for you, John. If you could write and direct a rebooted Transformers movie, what Autobots and Decepticons would you like to see in it? Thanks and keep up the great work.
This question makes my heart smile. If I could direct it, first of all, the movie would suck. But who cares? If I got to make my Transformers movie, like ignore all the Michael Bay ones. And for the record, I really like the first one. The last three have been horrible piles of crap. But I really actually am one of those people who really did enjoy and was entertained by the first one. But if I could go back and remake mine, the one I wanted. Now, you got to remember, kids, I was that kid who grew up where, if you remember, for those of you who are old enough to remember this, the Transformers came in these boxes. And on the boxes, they were square boxes with a panel on the back too that stuck up above the box. And it would be half transparent see-through so you could see the toy inside. And on one side though, you had an illustration of the Autobot. And then on the back of the box was this big power bar that showed you intelligence, strength, leadership, firepower, that showed their power bar. And what I would do as a kid, because I had so many females coming into my bedroom, was I would cut out that picture of them on the front, stick them on the wall, and then I would cut out the power bar, stick it there, and then cut out their name on the box and put the name beside them. So I had the Autobot, the name, and the power bar there, and I had about 60 of those suckers covering my bedroom wall.
Now you scoff at that, but that's actually pretty cool. I think I'm one of about 4 people in the world that can really appreciate that.
Where were your type of women when I was growing up? Oddly enough, not considered hot. So anyway, I would do those things, and then that's my era of Transformers that I really, really love. I never got into Beast Wars and all the other things that they did. So the Autobots I would feature in my Transformers movie. Number one, the obvious one, you go with Optimus Prime. He is the Transformer. He's the Autobot. He's the guy. And everybody loves him. He's the leader. He's the kingpin, the whole bit. But then I would focus on a couple other ones. One that was in the movies is Jazz. I would definitely have a Jazz, but somehow I would find a way to resurrect Scatman Crothers to make sure he does the voice. Another one I would have is a very little known, but he was in that first generation of Transformers. He's one of the small ones, like the same size as Bumblebee, and his name was Brawn. He was a truck, and not many people know this, but he was physically the second strongest Autobot in that first gen, beside Optimus Prime. He had a 10 on the strength scale, which Optimus Prime had as well. So I would do Jazz, I would do Brawn, I would do Hound, the army Jeep guy who had the ability to create mirages, not the Autobot Mirage, but Hound had the ability to create mirages. The other guy, I would go with two brothers. These were my 2 favorite toys other than my Optimus Prime toy. It was Prowl, and Prowl was the cop car, the sleek race car cop car, and Blue Streak. And now the thing is, these were kind of like the Decepticon jets. Remember they had the 3 jets, but they were all the exact same toys with different paint jobs? Prowl and Blue Streak were the exact same toy. And so they said they're brothers, but still they were like 2 of my favorite guys. So I would focus on Optimus Prime, Prowl, Blue Streak, Brawn, and Jazz and Hound. Those would be the Autobots if I had my druthers that I would focus a movie on.
Now, I think I've revealed before that my first toy that I remember having, I would have Barbies in one corner and all of my Transformers as well. And
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
So and I'm pretty sure, and I want to talk to you about this. I think I had Starscream, but it was black and purple.
Oh, then that was either Thundercracker, or it could have been Thrust, or could have been Ramjet. It could have been, I think that was one of the other guys. Same toy, different colors. Yeah.
So I guess if I was going to chime in, you said you weren't into Beast Wars. I think maybe it's a little bit of a generational gap because I want Optimus Primal.
Oh, yes.
He was so good. Imagine making Optimus Prime an ape. That just kind of works for me.
I like the little play on the names they did.
I thought that was
Primal.
That was clever. So let's take it to the jungle. We've got one here from Kent O'Hare who writes, "What up, AMC homies?" Like, really, there's a question mark, so I guess we have to answer that. I've recently discovered Christopher Guest-directed comedies like Best in Show and A Mighty Wind and find them hilarious. So I'm curious, do you guys enjoy his films? And if so, which is your favorite? Thanks and keep up the great work.
Well, when talking about Guest, there's a couple of things you have to look at. What is your favorite films of his? Well, is that as a director, as a writer, as a performer? As a director, seriously, one of the most underappreciated comedies out there is Best in Show. Best in Show makes me laugh myself sick. It's a certain type of humor. It's a certain style of humor that has to click with you for it to work. And I just happen to be one of those people that it really did click with me. I laughed myself stupid from beginning to end. And then they basically got the whole same crew together again, and then they went off and did Best in Show, which I also thought was, or A Mighty Wind, which was also very clever. I didn't think as good as Best in Show though. But if you're going to talk about him as a performer, okay, and as a writer, if you're going to talk about him as a writer, you have to start the conversation with "This is Spinal Tap." I mean, yes, but it goes to 11. I mean, that Spinal Tap is so awesome. And I cannot believe how many people I talked to today who have never seen This is Spinal Tap. Just watch This Is Spinal Tap. It's so funny. If you get it, it will be a treasure to you forever. If you're going to talk about favorite thing that he was in as an actor or performer, I'm going to withhold my answer to that because I know there's somebody sitting beside me who's just bursting at the seams to say exactly what I'm going to say. So take it away.
The Six-Fingered Man, The Princess Bride, in my top 5 best movies of all time. He was so good in that because he was so reserved and cold, and he he wasn't over the top because there was a lot of kind of like lariness, I guess you could say, in that movie. But he was so icily cold and such a great villain, one of the better villains out there. That actually scared me. But we were just kind of going over some of his lines that he had and some of the best parts of the movie. And then we realized that we could probably quote the entire movie from start to finish. Like I even know the music of the baseball game.
If you don't have your health, you don't have anything at all.
Not to 50. So that's my favorite role that he's in. But I haven't seen Best in Show. Give us a quick sell. Why should people watch this?
Oh, Best in Show. For those who don't know anything about it, it's the same with A Mighty Wind. He takes these really weird demographic segments of people, like small segments, and plays and develops a world around it. Best in Show is about these dog owners, various dog owners who are each prepping their dogs to go to the big something kennel trial. It's the big, actually, fact checker Jonathan, can you look at what's that big, huge annual dog show? It's the big one. And basically, so what Best in Show is it just looks at these people and their relationships with their dogs and the drama that goes on in between. Were you able to find that, Jonathan?
No, I'm still looking for that.
He's looking up.
I'm surprised you don't know it off the top of your head.
Yeah, you don't know this just like
the
that.
The dog show.
It's like either the Purina dog trials or it happens in New York. You've seen it on TV where they're in like an arena and it's like the 45-year-old woman running with her little poodle besides as the poodle jumps over things and they lift up the dog's tail and look at its butt. I've never understood that part. I'm a dog guy, but I'm not that type. Like I grew
healthy butt, a healthy mutt.
I was going to say something, but I'm not. So I grew up with hunting dogs. Like my dad's a hunter, so I grew up with like beagles and labs and things like that. So
it's the Mayflower Dog Show.
It is called the Mayflower Dog Show. Jonathan is pointing out. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And that's what it's about. And then A Mighty Wind is kind of that same thing, but instead of like the Mayflower Dog Show, it's about like the world of hippie folk music kind of stuff. It's really, really interesting. I highly encourage, like if there's some night you've got, nothing else to do, you're just kicking around at home, get those two, watch them back to back. I think you're going to enjoy yourself.
Fantastic. Thanks for that one. We've got one from Howard who writes, "Hey AMC Movie Crew, I know it may be too late to be asking this, but it's been on my mind for quite a while, so here goes. Is there absolutely any chance that Andrew Garfield could return as Spider-Man in the MCU or any other way at all? And has there been a confirmation that he's out? If he's really done, if there's a chance that he could have a small role in an upcoming Spider-Man movie. Anyway, that's it. Thanks."
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about who will be Spider-Man, who will be Spider-Man, but now that we live in a world right now, an era where it's just pretty much assumed that Andrew Garfield's not back. So it's an interesting question asking, is there any chance? The actual factual answer to that is yes, there is a chance. Because, answering the other part of your question, contrary to popular belief, no, it has not been confirmed that Andrew Garfield is not coming back. Now remember, people, let me do this. I know I do this every once in a while. The word confirmed in this world that we live in right now is so misused. Confirmed is only confirmed when the source says it, not the Hollywood Reporter says it, not when your favorite blog says it. That's not confirmed. Confirmed, in this case, will be when Sony says it, when Marvel says it now that they're involved, when Andrew Garfield says it, when an actor who does get the role of Spider-Man comes out and says it. That's the only time it is confirmed. People read something on the internet and says, oh, it's been confirmed. No, unless it comes from the source or one of the actual sources involved in the item we're talking about, it's not actually confirmed. So that being said, that yes, a possibility exists, and that yes, and then that no, it is not confirmed that he's not coming back. That all being said, I firmly believe that he is not. While it has not been confirmed by the studios or the principals involved, there are enough credible reports out there that make me believe that this is the case, that they are going to go in a different route and not bring him back. And as somebody who is a big fan of Andrew Garfield, remember, I said before, I think he was robbed of an Academy Award when he was in The Social Network. And I have really enjoyed him as Spider-Man. You know, I may not have loved Spider-Man 2, but I still think he's the guy to play Spider-Man. And if it were up to me, I would have him continue as Spider-Man. But all that being said, with what they're doing now, with this new world that Sony is entering into with Marvel and all that kind of stuff, that Spider-Man doesn't make sense. And if you're rebooting the Spider-Man character, it just doesn't make sense to bring the same actor along because it's going to bring along the baggage with him. People are going to get confused and they're still going to associate him with the first two Amazing Spider-Man movies. It just doesn't make sense. So while I'm a big fan of Andrew Garfield and I'm a big fan of him as Spider-Man, I don't think it would be the right move at this point to bring him along for it. So I don't think it's going to happen. I can pretty much assure you it's not going to happen, although it has not been confirmed.
Confirmed. All together now. Look, is this a case of bad timing for Andrew Garfield? Is this wrong place at the wrong time where he's supposed to have maybe 3 movies because in Amazing Spider-Man 2, they had kind of set up exposition for the next film, which we don't know if we're ever going to see. Is this a case where it could have been what Tobey Maguire had with his 3 movies, but, you know, just the shift means that he misses out?
The irony here is that part of the problem of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was they basically used the movie to set up narrative for another movie instead of focusing on making The Amazing Spider-Man 2 the best movie it can be. And they felt basically The Amazing Spider-Man 2, while I still enjoyed it, I didn't think it was the giant steaming pile, you know, of feces that a number of people think it is. I still had an okay time at it. I was mildly entertained, but even I will tell you, it was a huge drop-off in quality from the first Amazing Spider-Man, which I thought was wonderful, right? And what they did was, to me, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was Spider-Man's version of what was the first Batman movie that came out with Michael Keaton? I think it wasn't Batman and Robin. It was Batman Forever. I think it was called Batman.
The first one with Michael.
The first one without Michael Keaton.
Oh.
I think it was Batman Forever. Batman Forever, thank you. It was the one with Val Kilmer, if I'm not mistaken. He was the first one up. Where the Batman thing, you know, Tim Burton took his cues from The Dark Knight Returns, the graphic novel. But then they shifted gears and went, let's go silly and wacky. And hey, let's get, you know, Paul Giamatti, who's one of the great actors of our generation. And let's have him be rushing and doing every ridiculous thing he could possibly say. Oh, look, Spidey pulled down his pants, huh? I mean, that was a warning sign right from the beginning of that movie that I do not like what is happening here. And they totally went that direction. It wasn't a case of bad timing for Andrew Garfield. In a sense, yes. But had they done The Amazing Spider-Man 2 right, had they followed up with the first Amazing Spider-Man, all the things they did right in the first one, if they had followed up with that and built on it and not just use the damn thing for throw in every conceivable thing that we can that sets up a Sinister Six movie. If they decided not to go the Joel Schumacher way of doing Amazing Spider-Man, like how silly and ridiculous were all these guys, these villains in it. It was just awful. That's what killed the Sony Spider-Man. That is what changed the whole landscape of things. What also changed the landscape was that Sony as a company as a whole went into financial trouble about a year and a half ago. I mean, there's a lot of different places. So yeah, it was a case of poor Andrew being in the wrong place in the wrong time because all the problems of Spider-Man and the universe and Sony and the things as a whole, none of it has anything to do with Andrew Garfield or his portrayal as Peter Parker in Spider-Man.
I don't mean to dwell on it too much, but let's get into maybe a legal look at things.
Sure.
Because it was setting up for Sinister Six. That's a trilogy in itself. Would Andrew Garfield have signed on a 3-movie deal?
I'll guarantee you Andrew Garfield probably signed a 4 or 5 or 6 movie deal. But as we come back to every once in a while, remember, in these worlds of movies, whenever anybody signs on for anything that even the producers even think there is the smallest chance of franchising, they will have the actor sign a multiple film deal. But remember, that does not obligate the studio to use that actor again. All it does is obligates the actor to appear if the studio calls on them. So for example, I mean, they could sign Andrew Garfield to a 7-picture deal, but even if they weren't joining up with Marvel and they were just doing The Amazing Spider-Man 3, they don't have to use Andrew Garfield They can bring in somebody else to do it. There's probably a clause in that contract that says, okay, and if we opt to use somebody else, well, we'll pay you this by a small, and it'll be a small buyout fee. But yeah, in these things, I often have people say to me, well, John, you know they're going to make a sequel to that because we heard that Emma Stone signed a 3-picture deal. All that means is that if the studio wants to make another film, and if they want to use her again, she is obligated to appear. But it does not obligate the studio to use her. I know that sounds a little unbalanced, but that's the way it works. So there you have it.
A 7-movie deal means that Andrew Garfield could have been 45 and still flinging the old web.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way. I keep forgetting, who's the guy who played the Winter Soldier? We had him in our studio. I was sitting across from him talking to him.
Chris Evans?
Chris
What's
Evans.
that?
The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, actually, Sebastian
Stan.
Stan, right. We had Sebastian Stan in the studio, and we're talking, it's like, and he signed like a 6 or 7 figure film deal, not a 6 or 7 figure deal. He signed a 7 film deal, and so people say, well, that means he's going to be Captain America, and he's going to do this. And it's like, no, actually, it doesn't even really mean he will see him again. We are going to see him again, I have no doubt. But it doesn't even mean we'll see him again in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at all, because it's only if they choose to use him. Here's an interesting situation where an actor that they do have under contract to do it is, once again, who played Agent Smith in Matrix, Aussie actor.
Hugo Weaving.
Thank you. I love Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving has, I believe, a 3-picture deal to appear as Red Skull in Marvel Cinematic Universe. Very well known that he doesn't want to come back.
Right.
And so Marvel's just kind of honored his request to not come back, and they haven't used him. I think they might have used Red Skull again. Although if they really want Red Skull, they'll just recast him. But I think Marvel's just taking the position that, you know what, he doesn't want to do it. We don't want to force him. But if Marvel, make no mistake, if Marvel decided, and Hugo Weaving has said this publicly, if Marvel decided to play hardball and say, no, Hugo, you are coming back to play Red Skull again, Hugo Weaving has said, I would have no choice. I would have to go back and do it because he signed that deal. But I think Marvel's respecting his wishes.
Right. There we go. Hope that answers the question. Moving on, we've got one from Ernest Taluk, who says, hey, AMC crew, with the Hobbit Blu-ray release this week, it got me thinking, do you guys think Peter Jackson, Peter Jackson, or another director could make another movie?
Sean Connery is reading our questions, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, where is my drink? Shaken, not stirred. I can't believe I'm doing this impression. Another movie in the same Middle-earth universe, but based on an original screenplay, like spin-off movies. Is there anything that could prevent that from happening? Thanks for the great service you provide us movie lovers.
Yes, there are legalities that would provide it, end it from happening. I believe the Tolkien family estate does not want more of those you'd have to clear it through them, and I don't think they're in the mood to clear it for anybody. But I don't know that I would want them. I know that Peter Jackson wouldn't want them because if you're talking about just making original spin, like, okay, yeah, so but while the things are going on with The Hobbit, what if in the other half of the world, there's other things going on, a different story, a few years after that, had nothing to do with the characters from The Hobbit or from The Lord of the Rings, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's a big world, and I'm sure you could say there were other adventures, but here's the thing. What's then the appeal? People love these things because there was already a huge knowledge base and fan base for all things Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. These were generation after generation after generation beloved stories and books and characters that they then turned into these feature films, right? But where is the attraction if you just say it's in that same world, but has nothing to do with the stories that you know? It has nothing to do with with the world that you know, because these are all completely different characters, and the world is nothing without the characters that inhabit it. So at that point, I would simply say, like, if I'm the head of a studio and a guy comes to me and says, got this idea for Schnippbum. And Schnippbum is an elf who lives in this further away forest, another elven kingdom, and he goes on an adventure to find a golden bedpan, okay? Schnippbum and the golden bedpan. Okay, so he's got to go find this golden bedpan, and it's a story about him and all the adventures he has along the way. And it's set in Middle-earth. At that point, as a studio head, I would say to this guy, okay, interesting concept, but why say it's in Middle-earth? What's the point of even saying it's in Middle-earth at that point? It's not going to be anything of a draw. Unless you say Legolas happens to be his cousin and Legolas goes on the adventure with him, then why not just create a new fantasy movie and just market it as that? I think we would have a better chance and we would get better PR if it's just its own original fantasy piece. because a Middle-earth film without any of the story of the other ones that are already known and beloved, I think that's just what it becomes, just another story that happens to be in Middle-earth.
Have you played the video game Shadow of Mordor?
I had played about 5 minutes of it when I was at my buddy's house. I don't have it, but I played a little bit of it. I've seen you play it.
Oh, yeah.
You're quite good at it.
I'm a big fan of it. But what I liked about it is that it's a tale within Middle-earth that has nothing to do with any of the characters. But it's talking about being within sort of like I want to say Fey world, but that's not it at all, where he's connecting to a spirit and he's like an immortal human. Could you see maybe a translation where the video game turns into a movie, or are there restrictions from Tolkien's family that no other movie or any licensing can be made from this?
Well, you can't do it unless they approve it. And as far as I know, they're not approving anything. So
I think Peter Jackson actually bought the rights to the other Tolkien book, but he said he wasn't going to use it.
I think he tried.
Oh.
I would have to look that up. I will have to look that up. I can't even ask fact checker Jonathan to do it because I think it's a more extensive process of looking up all that information that we can do right here on the spot. But that would be interesting. But as far as I know, there are substantial legal roadblocks from getting any more movies made.
Gotcha.
And I don't even think more movies made would be a good idea.
So if anyone needs a Tolkien fix, maybe you should become a gamer.
Hey, pick up the game. Give it a shot.
You will obey.
She says that every day when she comes into studio. I don't know why.
Karen Singh says, "Hey guys, greetings from Australia." G'day, Karen. She says, "Love the show. I haven't heard your thoughts about. I haven't heard your thoughts about X-Men Apocalypse being Jennifer Lawrence's last X-Men movie. What do you think will be Mystique's future in the universe? Thanks."
Yeah, well, in a recent interview, Jennifer Lawrence made the suggestion that this is going to be her last,
along with Nicholas Hoult as well.
Last film. Now, some people said, well, you're just misunderstanding her. Her point was this is the last one she's contractually obligated for, which is true. It's the last one. She doesn't have a contract to go beyond this one. Or whether, she didn't come out and say, I am never doing another X-Men film again. She just said, this is my last X-Men film. And I think for now, I believe that's true. Whether she'll come back to it later is a question mark. And we'll see what happens in a few years. Let's see what Jennifer Lawrence thinks if she hits 3 bombs in a row. Suddenly she's coming back and asking to be Mystique again. But that's fine. The reality for me, though, is I'm glad it's her last one. Not because I'm not a fan of Jennifer Lawrence as an actress. I am a big fan of Jennifer Lawrence as an actress. There's a movement right now. There's a backlash movement of people who are like, Jennifer Lawrence is overrated and we're oversaturated with Jennifer Lawrence. Maybe we're oversaturated with Jennifer Lawrence, but she's for real, all right? There is no overhyping of Jennifer Lawrence. She's that good. And the scary thing is, she's only going to get better. I mean, that's how frightening that is right now. She is truly a gifted actress. And any denial to that is probably you just having a problem with how popular she is. But hey, everything's subjective. You're more than entitled to your opinion. For me, though, it's a no-brainer. She's world class. But that being said, because she's Jennifer Lawrence, the Academy Award winning, multi-Academy Award nominee, maybe the biggest female star in Hollywood right now, because she is Jennifer Lawrence, any role you give her in X-Men, that role becomes one of the focus points of attention. Mystique should never have been the focus of any X-Men movie and only became such because Jennifer Lawrence is Jennifer Lawrence. I don't want X-Men Apocalypse to be about Mystique. I'm sure Jennifer Lawrence is going to go in there and play Mystique fabulously. I've got no doubt about that. I don't want my X-Men movies about Mystique. I liked it more when Rebecca Stamos. Sorry, take Stamos out of it now. That's right. When Rebecca was playing Mystique, because they used her as a kick-ass side character. Yes. And that's the way I see Mystique being used. But as long as Jennifer Lawrence is there, they will always make a way and force a way for Mystique to become a centerpiece of the movie. And I don't want that. I think the majority of X-Men fans don't really want that. So we'll see.
Did you find yourself saying when you first saw the Sentinels, they look a little different? That's not how the Sentinels look.
No, because to be honest, I thought they looked more closely to what the Sentinels look like than they were going to. I thought it would be even a bigger departure. So I was never expecting the Sentinels they use in the movie to actually look like the ones I've come to know in both the comic books and in the cartoon.
Cut? Yeah.
Stop mutant. Yeah, I was not expecting that. So they actually looked a little closer to what I loved the Sentinels in X-Men Days of Future Past. I thought they were just awesome. I thought they were great. So I wasn't surprised. Were you?
Yeah, well, they don't. That was the concept where they borrowed the DNA from.
Yeah.
I was like, that didn't happen. But it worked. It was quite. It's clever.
Yeah,
and they
it was
were
clever.
a formidable foe, and that's what you want in these sort of movies. I think, though, my feelings on this is that the person who's happiest that Jennifer Lawrence isn't doing another movie is Jennifer Lawrence. Apparently, word has it that she was locked into this 3-movie deal contract out of steal. So this is before she won all the awards. This is before the Hunger Games, and so she was on a rate that is right
below
now,
what her rate would be.
So much so that the studio gave her a whopping bonus so that she wouldn't drag her feet going to work. So I think she's kind of very happy to be free.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of things to accommodate Jennifer Lawrence. Like they changed from top to bottom. They completely re-engineered the Mystique body outfit because she was having problems with her skin with them painting on the thing. So it actually, in Days of Future Past, I believe it actually became a bodysuit as opposed to body paint. They gave her a bonus. I think, and from what I heard, she never complained. Which is why I like her professionalism.
It would be her agent being like, I am missing out on the dollars here.
But I think Fox made sure it's like, hey, we got her right now, and let's treat her right until this contract is over. I'm glad that she won't be the focus anymore.
Yeah, it's not the Mystique show. There's a lot of X-Men out there.
A lot of X-Men.
All right, one from Max. He says, my question is, now with Neil Blomkamp Alien 5 on the works and Shane Black working on the new Predator film and Prometheus 2 still in the works, do you think 20th Century Fox will reboot the Alien vs. Predator franchise? Or are they going to do an Alien vs. Predator vs. Prometheus as done recently on comics?
You know what's funny? We were nominated for an award that we did not win at the Geeky Awards last year for Best Podcast, and we did not win. We lost. It was shameful humiliation, the defeat. Schnepp got real drunk that night. Anyway,
I know.
there are some pictures of me, Dennis, and Schnepp at that party where it was later into the evening. Anyway, I won't go into that. But it was funny. 2 or 3 nights before that, though, there was a big nominees party at, I think it's the Sky Bar in Los Angeles. And so there's a big nominees party for it there. And I had a table there and I had a bunch of friends with me. And sitting right beside us, a table service, because they had one long bench that was part of your table. Sitting at the one right next to us was Shane Black.
Wow.
And the conversation came up about, Predators. And it's like, yeah, it's going to be great. And all that kind of stuff, right? But here's the thing. Even if it turns out great, and even if I now have my doubts that Neil Blomkamp's Aliens is going to turn out great, my fingers are crossed. I'm super hopeful, though. Even if they both turn out great, dear heavens, never do Alien versus Predator again. That franchise carries with it such a stench of failure. There's so much stench of failure in the air. They tried it twice. The first one was bad and they thought, nah, we can do this better. Turns out you couldn't do it better. And they went back and they did it again and it was even more awful. No. Never do Alien versus Predator again. Never. And then, the thoughts of Alien versus Predator versus Prometheus. No. Stop. Just stop. You tried it. It didn't work. Don't do it again. These are 2 kick-ass franchises. When they're operating and firing on all cylinders, these are 2 fantastic franchises. Protect those franchises. Leave them as they are. Do not start crossing them over again.
Do you think they were trying it? Because on paper, it is a flawless idea.
On paper, it's an incredible idea. I was all for it.
Yeah.
When it was first announced that they were going to do Alien versus Predator, I was, yeah. And I'll say this. In that first one, there is a scene in it. I have a top 10 made me laugh the hardest moments in movies.
Yes.
And if it's not in the top 10, it's very close to my top 10. There is a moment in that movie when they crack open the sarcophagus in the pyramid and they find a whole bunch of technology. And the one guy says this, I don't know why I found it so funny, but I did. He says, this is like finding Moses's DVD collection. And which was, I thought that was hilarious because he was making a joke about the archaeological significance of this. He goes, this is like finding Moses's DVD. I thought it was hilarious. You clearly did not with the look you just gave me. She also gives me that look every day. So, no, other than that one joke, there's nothing redeemable about Aliens versus Predator. They've tried it a couple times. Let it go.
It's the kind of conversation that does keep coming up, Freddy versus Jason. Is that the other way around? I get it.
No, you got it right.
Okay, great. And then, Alien versus Predator. What other kind of things do you think or can you see the movie industry plotting together? Because it is a common theme. And I think that, when ideas are getting a little bit strewn thin, yeah, that'll work. Who are they going to put together in the ring?
The one that comes up a lot to me, and I don't think this will ever happen, but the one that has run up a lot in the last 2 or 3 years has been James Bond versus Jason Bourne. That's been one that's come up a lot. Like they end up on the opposite sides of an issue, but you know what had happened. Eventually they find out, oh wait, there's actually the real bad guy, and they team up and now they're buddies. That will ultimately happen in any franchise that's hero versus hero kind of thing. So what's going to happen in Civil War? Captain America and Iron Man are going to be buddies again by the end. It's what's going to happen in Batman versus Superman. By the end of that movie, Batman and Superman will be working together and developing the Justice League. And the same would happen of any hero versus hero kind of setup. But yeah, the one I heard the most about from fans, not from studios, from fans is Jason Bourne and James Bond, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Who would win?
Oh, James Bond. James Bond would win. Yeah, it's a James Bond world. We all just live in it.
Well said. And last question for today.
Last question.
Bobby writes, hey guys, phase 3 looking great. Do you think with Matthew Vaughn doing a Bond-esque film with Kingsman?
Speaking of Bond.
Yeah, and Mendes most likely leaving after Spectre, is there a chance that Vaughn taking over? Or is he too graphically violent for the franchise? Carry on bringing the filthy.
Yeah, I
And enters a new contender.
Yeah, I love Matthew Vaughn. I think this dude is like, he's just the bee's knees. He's awesome. I'll watch anything this guy does. And by the way, I'm still very saddened by how many of you have not seen Stardust. So good. It is the new Princess Bride. It is the new Princess Bride. Have you seen Stardust?
Yes, I didn't think that it was the
Oh
new
my God.
Princess Bride,
It's the new Princess Bride. It's so good. Hey, check it out. Ignore the Aussie.
Princess Bride, guys.
Princess Bride is, one of the greatest of all time. But having said that, it's not his style. I love Matthew Vaughn. I'm even up for him doing a Star Wars movie. But
whoa.
Yeah, I'm totally up for Matthew Vaughn doing a spin-off.
It would be a
one of the
funny
spin-offs.
Star Wars
It would
movie.
be funny,
Yeah.
and it would be incredibly adventurous.
Yeah.
And I think the action would be crazy. But for Bond, it's not his style. I just don't see that stylistically as a good fit. And it's not even the over-the-top hyper-violence that Matthew Vaughn's become known for and is so awesome for. If you haven't seen Kingsman and what he did with Hit Girl in Kick-Ass, you got to. What this guy can do with violence is incredible. He turns it into an art form. But forget the violence stuff, but even just his storytelling method is not the right fit. I think it would feel very jarring for a Bond movie. So my personal feeling, you may have different feelings in this, and that's cool. But me personally, I don't think it would be a good fit.
I feel like it's comparing a martini to a Jaeger bomb.
Yeah. I think that's a really good example.
Because alcohol is a great analogy for any movie.
And we're talking Bond, so use martini. I see what you did there. Very, very nice.
That is all the questions that we have for today, though. If you wanted to get your question in, you can just email in. There's the email address, amcmovietalk@gmail.com. If you want an audio version of this show, well, check out the link in the description of this video because you can have a listen to it there. Do you want to watch a movie this weekend? You should, because it's time to have some fun. So jump onto amctheatres.com. You can check out what's playing, at what time, and where the nearest AMC theatre is to you. I'd like to thank everyone in this room for making this show possible. What's up, Dennis? Thank you so much, Jonathan. And I'll give a shout out to Ray as well. John Campia, where can people have a chat with you online?
You can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter, just at John Campia.
And guys, you can follow me on various social medias as well. Just search at Maud Garrett. There's 2 R's and 2 T's in that one. If you haven't liked this video, do it now. And if you haven't subscribed, now is definitely the time to do it.
And watch Maud on AMC Jedi Council.
Yes, episode 3 has just gone up a couple of days ago. So John and I will be chatting some Jedi talk on that one. Even if you are a new Star Wars fan, you'll learn something, that's for sure.
Yep.
I'll be back again tomorrow. But in the meantime, guys, have a great weekend. See ya.